So while we buy, buckle up for these jewels that we giving up, peace and love with some prosperity. Demi and K dropping heat while bringing clarity.
Okay, so boom,
Boom.
it's Demi and K, ratchet and classy, but we dropping jewels. These words gon' stick, help you a little, but there's no room.
Not one.
Temperature check, this shit getting hot, cause we got food. Yeah, we dropping jewels, cause we dropping jewels.
Jewels.
Demi and K, we dropping jewels.
Hell yeah, we dropping
Jewels.
Spitting them every day.
Jewels.
Eloquent evening.
God and goddesses.
It's your girl Jay, also known as Jay Demi, and I'm here with the best co-host with the fucking most.
It's your girl K Bex, and I'm here with my gorgeous sis, here to drop another jewel for you.
Maybe 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, I don't know. Y'all know y'all always get a lot of jewels with us, and we're here yet again. And this time, y'all know I always, every season, have an episode where I go completely against the plan and I pick a topic that we was not supposed to talk about. Well, today's one of those days, guys, and we're going to talk about mother. I remember a white chick, she was like, oh, so you want to talk about mothers. Yes, I want to talk about mothers. And I want to talk about it from a couple different aspects because I've been seeing some things that it's just a little crazy for me. And I feel like my opinion it may be different than Kayla's because she doesn't have any bio kids, but her nieces are like her kids. So she is a mom, but right.
I'm
right.
a mom of many, even though I didn't give birth to any.
Right. So and especially look, even mine, because I'd be like, calling to Kayla, not me. But so I feel like it'll be a very interesting conversation about opinions on certain things. So the first thing I want to talk about. I've been watching this crazy girl. Her name is Queen Op. She went, okay, you might know who I'm talking about. She went viral recently for beating up, she got arrested on live. She was in a shade room. There was a girl she was beating, like her girl, it was crazy. I don't know. Anyway, but I'm not shocked you didn't see it. Kayla doesn't like the messy stuff. That's
I've been in my bubble this summer.
She's a messy bitch, so I'm not shocked that you don't know who the hell I'm talking about. But okay, her name is Queen Op, and they were having. She goes live on Miko. That's like a platform where people can send you gifts and money and shit like that as they watch you. So she goes.
What they do on TikTok, but not
yes,
but
essentially, yeah,
okay.
But literally geared towards you sending gifts to the person you're watching. So, I guess Nico had a conversation that night, and they wanted to talk about motherhood and abortions and stuff like that. And she was explaining how she got pregnant. She has probably like 4 sons at this point. I think she has 3 sons, and she just had a girl. But she was explaining how she was pregnant with her 3rd son and she didn't have a connection with him. She said that when she gave birth and they put the baby on her chest, she didn't have no feelings towards the baby. She didn't care about him. She didn't want to take care of him. She ended up giving him to this white family. And she was basically trying to make it seem like that's normal, like that happens, that people just don't have connections with their kids.
I wouldn't know. Like my first instinct or first thought would be like, well, maybe she had postpartum, like you already had 2, you got acclimated to the system. Now you're about to have a 3rd.
But see, the crazy thing is she didn't raise her other 2.
So
they were with their dad.
She probably had postpartum and didn't know, and that's why the connection wasn't there because.
But she said she was feeling a disconnect while she was carrying him.
I wonder what she was going through her entire pregnancy. Because my mom, like, when my sister was pregnant, my mom always said, like, your baby is going to feel your emotions. So if you're a crybaby during your pregnancy, your baby's going to be a crybaby when it's born. If you are depressed, your baby's going to battle with depression eventually or early. And things. So it's like the best thing you can do while someone is expecting is to be around them and offer as much positivity because one, pregnancy is a major surgery. Two, motherhood is a major journey.
Death, in case you didn't know.
And three, what a lot of people don't know is that I feel like from the outside looking in, when it comes to being a mother, your community is really important. Because if you don't have a strong community, you're not really going to be able to be emotionally stable enough to take care of
I don't know. As a mom, right? As a mom that does not have, okay, I won't say does not, that has not always had a strong village. That's like an insult.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. No, like I'm not saying it like I feel like you just insulted me. I'm just saying like because you're not the first person I've heard say that. You feel me? Like I got into it with a friend, and I literally don't speak to that friend to this day because basically what she was saying was if you don't have a village of 4 or 5 people that are willing to play a major role in your child's life, then basically like you don't have the ability to give that child the best life that
I don't agree with that
statement. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. And me and her literally, because I'm like, you're sitting here telling me as a woman whose grandmother is sick, so therefore I don't have my anchor of my village. And literally my partner is the only person I can depend on other than maybe 2 other people outside of that. I said, so what you're sitting here and telling me is that I'm not giving my kids a good life because I don't have strong relationships with 5 or 6 other people that want to be a part of my kid's life. Like, and she stood on that and kept standing on that. I said, so you're sitting in my living room.
Today?
No. You're sitting in my living room with my kids in the next room telling me that no woman without a village of 4+ people can be a good mom and give that child a good life. Why are you sitting in my living room if you feel that way? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like I took it personal and I expressed that it was personal for me. And she stood on that. She stood on that. I'm like, you're speaking from the standpoint of a person that has never been responsible for taking care of anyone else but yourself.
Yeah.
Just because you don't think you would be a good mom without that support, don't sit here and put that on every other mom or every other woman. And I think like that was my frustration with this whole shit with Queen Op, because it was like, at what point do we take accountability for the life we brought in this world?
It's a combination of that, but I also feel like, so one thing that women naturally are, like, you naturally assume the role of being a nurturer, right? But there comes a point where you yourself, like, you're still human. So, like, you still go through emotional changes. You still need time where you just need you time. And, like, when you become, I feel like from the outside looking in, experiencing all my friends be moms, it's like you kind of put yourself on the back burner and your kids are your priority, which isn't a bad thing. Like, you guys are amazing mothers. But I can sometimes see the struggle where it's just like, I don't feel like being a mom today. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you need that village where if you're emotionally tired, you have somebody that can come, just even if it's for a few hours, pick up the slack. Because I do it with my sister all the time. Like, being a kid is, having a kid and being a parent is equally as equivalent to having a job. It's just a job that doesn't pay,
and it never ends.
And it never ends.
It
You're
does
on
pay.
call
It's just not.
24/7.
It's just not in coins. It does pay. It's just not in coins. But
and not everybody can handle it.
And
you have to know that as yourself. Like, if you know that you're not the type of person that wants to have children, then you need to use precaution or
don't be a fucking mom. That's how I feel. Don't be a mom.
Or
don't
even
be a mom.
like sow your AIDS. Like, do something that is conducive to helping other people that are less
Even if
fortunate.
it's not my, I hate the lack of accountability, but I also gotta understand that everybody wasn't raised by someone that's a good example of what a mother is.
Very
and
true.
For some people, yes, it might just be nature to have that motherly instinct. I have to understand that with some people, their behaviors are learned, and therefore, if I've seen you be a shit person my whole life, maybe I won't do the opposite. Maybe I'll do what I see. Maybe I'm comfortable and that's my excuse. That's my reason. I'm okay with that. I just don't like the lack of accountability certain moms have, because I will say my only goal is for my kids to be better than me, faster than me, and with less stress than I had.
Which is
Should be everyone's, but it's not.
Unfortunately,
You got people
I've
that
seen
compete.
the receiving side where they compete with their kids.
I was about to say,
what's wrong with you? Like,
literally sat in therapy, and my therapist was like, it almost sounds like your parents see you as a sibling. And I'm like, that's some sick shit. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
as a mom with children, and me and my daughter, I had my daughter at 16, so you don't know, I've been a mom for 14 years at this point. You get what I'm saying? I feel like we have to understand that. And I basically grew up with my kid. You feel me? Like, I'm one of those, you know, like, oh, you grew up with your child.
But you were still a mother.
Right.
So
and that's my thing. It's like,
you chose the adult route. You didn't choose. You didn't choose to be.
I could have handled it plenty of ways, right? I could have.
But your grandma also held you accountable,
right?
And
I was about to say,
and
she
that makes
definitely
a big difference.
But she also made sure I had my time, right? Like, and again, this is where mothering comes in, right? She, as a mom to me, didn't want me to have my childhood completely robbed, because she didn't want me to be 23, 24 doing what a 17, 18-year-old would be doing. Yeah. She didn't want me to be 30-something doing what a 22-year-old was doing. So some of the family members on the outside looking in, they felt like, oh, you know, grandma always got your daughter and this, that, and the third. But the reality was, my grandmother would be like, no, go and enjoy yourself. Like, yeah. I got her. She's fine. Like, me and her are going to be in the house regardless. Like, what difference does it make if you here versus not being here? She's fine. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of help that I had with my grandmother. But then you have to realize, before my daughter was even 7, my grandmother got damn near terminally ill. So here I am now, right? And then on top of that, I got pregnant with my son. I was still going to school full time. I was still working full time. I didn't have a car. I was catching the river line back and forth. So when I sit here and I'm talking about literally using my refund checks to make sure I got a vehicle to get my kids back and forth, literally using my refund checks to make sure that my family has food, sometimes paying for housing or whatever the case might have been. So for me, it's like, you can't be a mom because what? And then for me, it's also like, so why are you fucking without a condom? Why are you fucking without a condom? And then, okay, so back to the same girl that I'm talking about. In the same breath, she's pregnant, 9 months pregnant. Talking about, my kids have family that will take care of them. So who cares that I'm homeless and I want to do what I want to do? And I want to fuck on rappers and this, that, and the third. Like, my kids have grandmothers. My kids have aunts. They have uncles. My kids not in the foster system. Like, they have family. So why are y'all worried about my kids? I'm saying to myself, like, what kind of sick, delusional shit is going through your mind that you're saying this? And I believe her. Like, you know how some people, you just be like, oh, you just trolling. You just trying. No, I think she was telling the truth. That I believe everything because she's not raising her other two. Her baby dad is raising them. You get what I'm saying? And I've seen certain things on her lives. I'm like, okay, you are really this person. And I'm seeing people on her live, like, justifying the craziness she's saying. As a mom, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. You can carry a baby to term, but you can't care for them.
And then it's like, okay, fine, okay, maybe, and this is, okay, I talk all the time, I talk about this all the time. I guess I could give a little background. Demi Dropp'n Jules, where it was all started, that's my name. My name came from my grandmother. That's who I wear almost every episode on my neck. My grandmother was the only person in the room when I was born. And there are things, and about a year after I was born, my grandmother had custody of me, and she's the one that raised me. There are a lot of things, though, I still don't understand with the choices my mom has made, but God is showing. God.
You were the better for it.
Tell God your plans. Don't watch him laughing in your face, okay? Like, God is working on me. I definitely will say I'm in a more forgiving spot than I probably was, and God's trying to tell me, and I can see this, he's trying to show me that literally, I talked about the prophet prophesying, I think, with you. I told you, but her issue started before me, and she didn't have a mom. Her mom couldn't be a mom. And then she was in the foster system, and I don't know what her full experiences were in the foster system. And so essentially, I'm asking someone that was never loved by a mother to be a mother.
Or showed how to be. She was raised in survival. She survived her
Yes,
whole
she's
life.
a survivor. She does not live her life. She survives.
She doesn't know
She's
what
still the
love
same way.
is like because no one's showed her or held that capacity for her to experience that.
So me being a person that
It's
I had a
lovely.
mom, right? I had a mom. I know how to be a mom, and I know what I went through. So I just certain things I don't want my kids to experience or feel. I'm realizing that I have to give her grace because she didn't have a jewel, right? She didn't have that from anyone, and I don't know enough about her story to say what she experienced or what she did not. And I don't know. And that's my problem. Like, as the kid in the situation, I think I should be able to ask questions. I think I should be able to get answers. And there's certain things that I feel that are valid, but maybe the truths that I've been told my whole life aren't the whole truths. Because you can't tell me someone else's side of it. You can only tell me what you see. So regardless, nobody but those that was in her circle know her reasons for certain things that she did. But I also gotta understand, maybe she's not equipped to handle that. Same thing you were saying with Queen of her not being able to handle it. Her not understanding what's happening in her brain causes something else to go on. And I have to give grace. I got a migraine. But I'll pray for me to give grace because I'm working on it, bro.
I think that's so mature of you, though.
Working
to
on
now,
it.
like, see your mom as just, like, an adult, a human being. Like, to see the...
Oh, I still don't. I'm trying.
But...
God is showing me her that way. He is. He's revealing it that way to me now. But so many years, it was like, you're my mom. I'm the kid here. I'm an adult in every other aspect of my life. Ever since I was 14 years old, I've been working. I've been basically an adult. You'll be the adult this time. I don't care if I'm 30-something years old.
Just doesn't have
You be the adult this time because I'm the kid and I deserve to ask questions and have the innocence in that moment of a kid to understand what's going on. But why do I need that from her if God's giving it to me?
Well,
You know what I'm
I feel
saying?
like you'll still need answers.
But I feel like that'll come in due time.
It will.
And I gotta.
You can't get it right now because she might not have the capacity to give you the answers that you need. But I will say this: more than likely, before because we all come to a season where, like, eventually we will have to die. She might be ready to have that conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be the answers that you want. It might not be the approach and how she handled it, but it'll be what you need to get that closure, you know?
Moms.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that you say that because, like, my mom's, like, the complete opposite. Like, she's, like, how you are with C and Amari. Like, she raised us. She's, like, super affectionate, super nurturing, like she's the mom that even when my other cousins, all of them got pregnant, like, they told my mom first. Like,
Right.
She's that person.
That's who exactly my grandmother
But
was
her
for me.
experience with my grandma, me and my grandma are like this, but my mom and my grandma are not close at all. Like, my mom is a daddy's girl. So it's just like my mom chose different. The closest that she didn't receive from my grandma is
Right.
the closest that she gave.
And I feel like usually it's with any traumatic type of thing, it's either one or the other. Like, if you're not getting something, either you do what you saw or you do the complete opposite. And I mean, hey, like, okay, and this is another thing, right? As a mom, do you think that there's any situation where you would place your child 100% in someone else's care?
I believe, yeah. Like, if I know, like, I've always said, like, if I was to, I don't believe in abortion, right? So, if I was to get pregnant, I know that I just not mentally there, emotionally there, even financially, really ready to prepare for a child, I would put the kid up for adoption. But that's just.
But if it's a kid, I'm meaning like a kid whose life you plan to stay in.
I wouldn't be able to separate from It would it would have to be like horrible circumstances when like you shouldn't have to endure this. For
So
me,
and I right,
personally,
and that's why I'm like, for me it's the same, because as much as I sit here and be like, no, had I became homeless in May when I was supposed to be, when the devil tried to tell me I was supposed to be homeless, I ask myself often, like, if I was staying out of a suite, would I have my kids there, right? Or would I go to my dad and my stepmom like, hey, can my kids stay here for a couple weeks? I'll figure out a solution. That would be my children's choice. I would leave that to my kids to decide, because for one, even if you were to be there, I'm not that type of mom that's just gonna call once a week to check on you, make sure you're fine.
Every day.
I'm that mom that's gonna still be trying to take you to school, come and take you, get something to eat, find out who you're around, what your day like, still taking you to church. So I can't understand, although I can understand needing help and being honest with yourself and saying, I don't want my kid to endure this thing, so I'm going to ignite my village, right? I'm going to reach out. I'm going to try to make sure this is a comfortable situation. But you got some people that never go back and get their kids. You got some people where a couple weeks with grandma and grandpa turns into years, and now you in the house and you got a new nigga and you pregnant again, and now you having baby number 3, but I'm still with my grandpa. You guys, and I'm trying to understand with myself, and I guess the reason why I can't understand is because to me, I would have to be in such a dark place to do that. But it's like I would never let myself get to that dark of a place though, because of my kids.
They're your motivation, but it's also like the choice, right? So when you got pregnant with Siani, you made the choice that I'm going to be a mom and I'm going to embrace being a mother. There are some people that's like, okay, I'm pregnant, but I'm not a mom. I don't feel a connection, or I don't feel the need to.
So why do some people push a kid out and don't have a connection and don't raise them, but then still want to be called mom, still want that respect?
I think it has to do with maybe shame and guilt, because they feel guilty that at the moment when they had that decision, they couldn't make the most logical decision. And then it's just like they get to see their kid grow up in an environment maybe that they never were able to provide them, or still can't provide them. They feel that shame and guilt, where it's like, I owe them this, but I also want to have authority here, because it's the ego. Like, I carried you for 9 months, so I'm your mom, even though I never did anything to nurture or help build you as a kid. Because I feel like when you're a parent, you pour into your kids. It's not like a
you
crayon
should.
box.
Some people don't though.
This is not something you pick up and put down. Like, this is a relationship.
I pick things up and put them down.
This is going to be a relationship that will be fostered up until the point that either one of you passes away. So it's just like, it's not one where you can be like, people cut their parents off, but eventually, you will have to come back.
Right. That's crazy that you said that. Because I've gone so many, points in my life not talking to my parents. And, yesterday, my mom came back. And, that's why we're talking about this. And I'm realizing that God is doing something to me through her right now, and I don't understand. I don't know what. And all I can do right now is just try to remain faithful through every moment. One of the biggest things that I feel like everyone who is Christian says, the Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father, or your days on this earth will be numbered. You hear that so often. And I've always been like, bro, if they're not honoring me, I don't understand why God would want me to honor them. You feel what I'm saying? Why? That has nothing to do with my faith, right? But what I'm understanding now is that the world has to keep on turning, right? Everything has to keep going. So if anyone is trying to give an olive branch or extend any type of relationship or any type of good to you, if there is an opportunity for you to do or bring any good into their life, the God in you should make you okay with that. the God in me is working on that with me right now, and I'm going through a lot of tests right now. God is trying to see, and I already know, trying to see if I'm gonna listen to Him. And
it's crazy that you say that, because I feel like the forgiveness part of it is easy.
Right, it's the relationship, yeah, and it's like
that makes it hard, because like I can.
Because I told her, I said I forgave you. I did forgive you, and I made that clear to my mother. Like, I forgave you for like everything you apologized. I've already forgiven it. That does not mean that I don't have questions. That doesn't mean that certain things don't weigh on my heart. That doesn't mean there's certain things I don't want to discuss. So, but I have to realize maybe she's not in the place to have those conversations. You get what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine somebody that you literally feel, you gave them life, so you feel their responsibility, but at the same time, you can think about how dark of a situation you might have been in, where maybe you don't feel comfortable even telling that. Like maybe she feel like no matter what she say to me, I'm still gonna have my foot. You get what I'm saying? And
it's a combination of that, but also, hear me out. Mm-hmm. What if every time she sees you or reaches out to you or talks to you is a reminder of where she was?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I have to give grace.
And it's not you. It's not that she's rejecting you. She's rejecting
that thing she was going through
in that particular point in time. And every time she gets it's like she wants to be able to cultivate that relationship. She wants to be able to be in your space, but then she's also reminded of the shame, the guilt, the frustration, or whatever she endured during that time period. Mm-hmm. And it's so much of a burden that she's not able to lay it down to foster something new.
Right. And look, and then I gotta tell myself, right? Because one thing I say is, like, a lot of the things she's going through now mentally, you know, are things that I've been going through since I was 11, 12 years old. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, everybody's not as strong. You get what I'm saying? And there's a lot of demons that I don't succumb to because I'm a mother. My kids are the reason. There's been plenty of times I wanted to crash a car and I didn't because of my kids. There's been plenty of times I wanted to do certain drugs or whatever and I didn't because of my kids. There's certain times that there's plenty of days I get up and don't want to go to work, but I do. Why? For my kids. So there's certain decisions I'm making because I got my kids on my heart. But there's also sacrifices that I'm making in those situations because I'm still dealing with my own mental issues. And maybe I have to realize everybody ain't me. Everybody gonna respond the way that I respond. Everybody ain't gonna think the way that I think. And everybody's tolerance ain't where my tolerance is. And I have to give grace. Like, I don't even know how else to put it other than giving grace. Like, I have to give her grace.
But it's also not your burden to carry that.
I know. But this is where I know that this is why God's bringing it back to me.
To deal with.
Because it's not going to hurt me at all to be nice. It's not going to hurt me at all to listen to her. It's not going to hurt me at all to pick up my phone. Because of where I am now. Now, if you'd have asked me 6 months ago, I wouldn't have said the same thing. But God already told me to let that go. And although I'm still hurt, I'm trying to let go of the hurt part. And her contacting me was like almost like a slap in the face. Now you're gonna slap. Now you're gonna slap me back, or are you just gonna tell me that it hurt a little bit and ask me if I'm okay and why did I slap you? You know, like, and I'm not saying it like it's a bad slap. Like, I mean, like, that's how it felt. Like, it was so left field. Like, and as a daughter, I ain't gonna tell y'all everything about the conversation, but some of the things pulled at my heartstrings a little bit, like, but there's accountability that has to be taken first, and I'm not going to let that slide, but I don't have to be a bitch through a situation. I don't have to act like what I've been through.
Or what you experienced.
Right.
Turn your cheek.
Right.
Sometimes what? That's the hard part.
Yeah,
that's
and I have to, I gotta at least give my parents what they're giving me, and I have to also understand that they are not me, and nobody is perfect. Just like I got my shortcomings with my kids. Everybody got their shortcomings, but everybody wasn't meant to be. The truth is, everybody's not meant to be a mother, but everybody's not meant to be a parent. We all we all do what we do, and kids come from that. So stop doing what y'all doing. If y'all don't want no kids, let's rip it up. And the pull-out method don't always work. So I ain't got no kids since 7 years ago. So, and you know what? I take care of mine, so it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? If I got pregnant tomorrow, I'm gonna take care of my babies. You know what I'm saying? All right. Okay. So you said you don't believe in abortion, right? And I don't believe in abortion either. But all this time we've been talking about being accountable for your own actions. Full transparency, I've had an abortion. And the reason I had an abortion, I'm telling y'all all my business. But that's why people need to watch the podcast. If you want to know Demi, watch the podcast. My daughter's father has 8 kids by 7 different women. Or 6 different women. 6 different women. My daughter is the oldest, so I was the first one. 2 years later, I was pregnant again by him. By that point, I had found out this man had 4 other kids. Like, another baby mama that was pregnant, and I found out it was 3 more that was already born. With the experiences my daughter was already going through, and with me finding out what type of activity this man had been running, I would not bring a kid into that turmoil. But I told myself, you're doing something that you said you'd never do, because I don't believe in abortion either. You can get that baby away. And that's another reason that I wanted to kind of get to this part, because I don't have a problem with you saying I can't take care of this kid, but I feel like it's selfish when you don't want to answer questions when you still want to be a part of a kid's life. There's accountability.
I agree there.
I'm not mad at
the kid didn't ask to come here.
And don't get me wrong, if you can't raise me, somebody else can do a better job, by all means give that child to that person. Because and that's the grateful part of me, like I'm grateful to my mother because I know certain things that my siblings went through that I'm glad
you didn't experience,
right?
Because you had your grandma.
And although there was a lot of things that were like painful, or a lot of things that were a lot of struggles that I went through that maybe my siblings did not go through, I'm grateful for the decision my mother made at the end of the day.
To still have you,
right?
Despite
and give me to someone that she believed would give me a better life, because she probably did. Even though as a kid I can think about my struggles and I'm like, maybe I would have had that if I had my mom. You know what I'm saying? But that's selfish, because that's really not the reality. So I'm saying that to say, although I did not believe in abortion, I told myself, for one, I could not bring a kid into that, right? But then I also told myself, you're not going to do this again to another life. And because you're doing this because of the person you chose to live with, you need to make sure that if you're going to do this, don't ever lay with that man again.
And you were intentional about that.
And I never lay with that man again. And I never put myself in a position to get pregnant by him again. And this is like, I have a frustration with women that get abortions like it's a fucking plan B, and that pisses me off. And I know a lot of women that get abortions just because they had slip-ups, and I think that's fucking crazy.
Full transparency here, like, I had an ex-friend, and we were in uni, and she went through that whole process. And just seeing, like, the reason why I don't believe in abortion, just seeing what it did, not really physically, but the
mentally,
emotional and mentally. I was just like, if it comes to it, I'm just going to carry the kid to term. And just give it up for adoption. Like, because it's like that what if, constant questioning.
Like, you could
did I make the right decision?
Because I still deal with that.
And then, like, your upbringing, like, was in a super religious household. Like, am I going to go to hell for this? Like, it's just that shame and that guilt. I was like, I'm just a person that, like, I feel like if I do something wrong, I'd rather deal with the consequences in front of everyone than to deal with it behind the scenes, because I feel like...
And hide it, essentially.
When you hide that, you open yourself up to continue to be tormented and not give yourself enough grace to get past it and know that, like, it's a mistake. It's not the end of your life. And I just didn't like how that happened. So I'm like, for me, I give grace to women that had to make that decision, because it's a very difficult decision that you have to make. I just know that I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity to do it.
Some people feel like it's not a life yet, right? But I had my daughter at 16, and I got pregnant a couple years later. I believe that child would have been a son. I don't know why, I just feel in my heart that was a boy. I had the abortion, and that shit, it ate me up for a long time. And then in 2013, I got pregnant again. I was having, not by him, but I was having really bad pains. I was in college. I was in the library preparing for a test. I went and took the test through this pain. I was trying to stay for my next exam. Someone said, nah, go to the hospital. I went to the hospital. Found out that I was pregnant. That's what they told me, and they congratulated me on all this stuff. But I literally had, I was bleeding, I was cramping, and I knew something was wrong. Long story short, about a week later, I go to the hospital because I'm having bad pains again and cramping and all that stuff again. I knew something was wrong, and long story short, I went to the hospital this time, and they're like, oh, you're pregnant, everything's fine. I'm like, no, my numbers, them numbers is less than the numbers the last time I went, and they're supposed to be fucking quadrupling right now, and they're not doing that. Black women, we gotta advocate for ourselves. They tried to send me home and tell me everything was fine. I fought back, pushed back. They did an internal ultrasound because they did a regular one. They didn't see the baby. They tried to tell me it was too small. I'm like, nah, something wrong. They do the internal ultrasound, rush me to call my doctor immediately. My doctor rushes me back to her office so she could do an internal ultrasound. Find out that I had to go in that night for emergency surgery because my tubes was about to rupture. Because the baby had gotten so big in my tubes and literally was about to rupture my whole shit. So at this point, my chances of getting pregnant now is cut in half because I had to have my whole right fallopian tube removed. So therefore, my reproductive organs is only at 50% anyway at this point. And so now I'm thinking I can't get pregnant. And I said, pull-out method don't work. Okay, for some people it did. Because the one night that didn't happen, I got pregnant with my son. I was like, oh my God! But I was scared. I was so scared the whole pregnancy though, because you know, when you have things like abortions and then the ectopic pregnancy, and then I also only have 50% of my reproductive organs, now I'm like, oh, God is not giving me another kid. He gave me another kid. He gave me another chance.
That was a miracle, baby.
He was. And I'm like, oh, I'm good with a rich man's family, but if God says you need one more, that's on God. I ain't planning for that, but if God says, you know. But I say all that to say, sometimes as mothers, we do have to make decisions that are not in our normal alignment with our morals or what we normally would have done. That sacrifice, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not justifying my decisions because I don't sleep well with that. You feel me?
But it's
and this nigga has 8 kids. What difference would 9 have made? You feel me? Like,
yes and no. But looking back at it, right? It's like, in a way, you did make the best decision for you and your family, because like, just imagine if you had to deal with double what you already experienced in the first.
Absolutely, like, and that's what I thought about. That's what I thought about, and I also made sure I made the decision like to never be in that seat again. So I can never. Accountable. I can't understand women that get pregnant by the same nigga over and over again, and you at an abortion clinic very regularly. I don't get that. That
and this, like getting pregnant, knowing that the guy doesn't want kids, and you choose to keep the kid, then take him for child support. Because I mean I get it. It's
what about the bitches that be telling the niggas to take the rubber off? If you one of them bitches, I'm gonna leave right there. I'll leave right there. If you one of them bitches, check yourselves, bro. Baby ain't gonna fix everything. And at the end of the day, I feel like women need to understand that a mother's love means a lot. Because a lot of these niggas, and we gonna touch on that, but we gonna touch on that in another episode. Because I know I'm running it up right now. But that's why a lot of these niggas out here fucked up because they got mommy issues. But y'all don't want. We ain't gonna. That's a lot to unravel. We gonna unpack it, but we ain't gonna do it today. But let me. I think I should drop this jewel real quick, right? Let me drop this jewel. Because you know the pressure. It be the pressure for me. Pressure to make diamonds, jewels, gems, rubies. Bitch, let's drop them. You feel me? Okay. I love y'all. Hey, Mom. I really miss you lots. As I grow in my own motherhood, there's a lot of questions I got. Like the unconditional love through moments of despair, choosing to sacrifice yourself even when life just isn't fair. You didn't push me out, but does that make someone a mother? Could you be a real mom when that role is played by another? Was there reasons for you taking me? Why'd you share with me your name? How'd you raise me like I was your own and treat me merely the same? How could a person give someone life and at any point choose to walk away? I can't fathom that idea, to not see mine grow day by day. There's a reason for everything, Mom. And maybe she's worse because she didn't have someone like you. And I guess that's why I have to thank her now. She did the best thing that she could do by giving me to you. Peaches, thank you. And if y'all know my real mom name is Peaches. My bio mom, her name is Peaches. That's what they call her. But yeah, I guess we know who that was too, right? My lady. Anyway, I think everybody needs to give their parents a little bit of grace. You need to work on healing yourself, because you can't fix shit with your parents if you're not okay, and that's just reality, because they're probably broken anyway. I think our last generation, the parents and the ones before us, they didn't even believe in mental health or fixing themselves for self-care or self-healing, or, you feel me, none of that.
Or even accepting things that were out of your control.
Yeah. But they're used to not talking about those things, though, and I think that's the difference, too. That's why I'm struggling right now. That generation was taught to shut up and not mention it. Don't talk about it. What happens in this house stays in this house. I don't live my life like that. And I think we have to find the middle ground with our parents. And I feel like no matter what, you're going to always have some sort of conflict. But it's really how y'all choose to get through those conflicts that's going to matter. And pray for me and my mom, all of them.
And also, truth of the matter is that you get to a point in adulthood where you start actually reparenting your parents. And you have to understand that it's for a reason.
I was just telling my brother, like,
it's for a reason.
It's literally a role switch almost. Like, I gotta care for you maybe the way you didn't even care for me back then. And you're older than me.
And they'll appreciate it eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So don't fill or beat yourself up. I mean, again, you choose the family that you love. You may be born into somebody you can choose who you keep.
Right.
And even though your mom might give birth to you, you get to choose, or someone else just chooses the mother that's best fit for you.
Absolutely.
The best thing
sometimes life chooses.
Life chooses too. And the best thing you can do is cultivate those relationships and honor them. It's a privilege to have someone, even if it's someone that didn't give birth to you, to care for you with the capacity of a parent that should. So be grateful. And as always, peace.